I'm Felix Levine, and welcome to Unlike Me, where I sit down with fascinating people I have nothing in common with. And we're live. Ragin
Al on his best behavior.
I told Al,
Felix.
I said, be on your best behavior for this next 50 minutes.
I'll do my best.
How we doing, brother?
I'm doing good. This is a pretty crazy. I got a nice tour of Brooklyn. I went to North 6th Street.
The wrong address.
30 minutes away from 6th Street. But we made it. We made it. This is sick. Having me here, I want to thank you for that. This is probably the most legit setup I've ever seen. So
I appreciate you.
You're crushing it, bro.
I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and we made it happen. And I've known you, I guess, a couple years now.
Yeah, well, it's been a minute.
It's been a little while, and you're just stud human. There's a lot that I want to pick your brain about. But I'm happy to have you here, man. Happy to have you here.
Glad to be here.
What's something the world doesn't know about Raging Al Iaquinta?
Something the world doesn't know about me. I've been thinking. I knew you were going to ask me this, so I've been thinking about it. I'm like, what the heck do I want to? What? So the people that know, I mean, like people that don't, the people that really know me, I'm a big. I like the earth. I like the earth. I like the water. I'm a big water guy. I always wanted to live on a canal. So I moved on to the canal, which you've been there. And you see like the pollution, a lot of pollution. I clean up a lot of the pollution. I kayak around and I clean up. So maybe somebody wouldn't think that I'm like conscious of that and try to like leave anywhere I go. I try to leave it like a little bit better than I found it. I think maybe people don't. I try to do that.
You know, it's funny. We're like 2 blocks away from the Gowanus Canal. If you've heard of that one,
heard of it.
So maybe we'll get you hopped out there and start cleaning.
Get me a stand-up paddleboard. I'll go out there and clean.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
I think you get all types of diseases if you step your toes into it.
See, it's horrible. It's like it's such a beautiful thing, and
I know.
You know what I mean. I feel like it's just getting worse. It's now they want to build these windmills for the energy on Long Island, and it's an eyesore, but it's also killing. Well, they say you don't know who to listen to anymore with this. You know what I mean? Like the media. Who the hell are they? Like, they're probably just as crooked as the whatever. But
you want to get political off the bat right there.
I don't really know enough about politics to even. But yeah, they're trying to build these windmills off Long Island, and recently there's been a ton of whales washing up.
Oh, right.
And they think it's because of they're scanning the bottom and preparing whatever they're doing. I don't know too much about it, but you hear about it. It's saddening. I follow on Instagram like all the ocean, conservation and how they're killing all the dolphins and overfishing, and now they're limiting fishing in some places, but in certain areas they're allowed to, and they just freaking, I don't know what the hell. How do we get like that? How do we start talking about this?
You know what's funny about it's probably also your mom that sends you so Al, when we've heard
something people don't know about me.
Something people don't know about Al. Let me
I
do
don't
it
know
for
what
you.
I'm talking about.
Let me help you out. You are hilarious because I remember a couple times when we were in Vegas for some of your teammates' fights. You'd be like, yo, look at this. And your mom sends you videos of the TV.
She sends me everything. My mom, that's might be something people don't like. My mom is the best. Both of my parents in different ways. But my mom she takes, if there's a real estate, like she did this in fighting. When there was a fight, when I started fighting, she wasn't into it. And she didn't go to the fights.
Oh, really?
No. She would go and she would wait outside. And then she was like, well, I'm here anyway. I might as well go in. My dad started getting like a little weird. He was like, once I started getting like in the UFC, he was like, I don't know if I can watch it. My heart, whatever. So she was like, well, he got hurt one time. He hurt his neck.
Because he was stressed out watching you fight?
No. Like outside, like do it. So he couldn't go to one of my fights.
Okay. And
she was like, well, if he can't go, I have to go. So she went and I won. And she was like, that was awesome. I'm going. And then she started coming to all of them. And then my dad started kind of like pulling back. But she was always into Ariel Helwani. Like my dad would joke around. I feel like Ariel Helwani lives with us. Like every time I walk in the house, I hear his voice on the computer. I'm like, what the hell is this? She would did you hear what this guy said? Did you hear what this guy said? Like, so now real estate, or even like Long Island news in general. She has News 12 on. News 12 has always been on my house.
And she takes the iPhone out and she, because I remember I was with you. It was so funny. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning in Vegas because we were at a weigh-in, and you go, yo, look at this. My mom sent it to me, and it's like a video of the TV, or a video of like or a picture of the newspaper, and you're like zooming in to try to read the words. You're like, oh, this is sick.
Yeah, anything. She just sends me interesting stuff all the time. You know, definitely she'll take pictures of the newspaper. She'll send me, and I'll read the article, you know, because I don't get the newspaper, so she knows that. But she'll like send me, you know, like local news, and she keeps me on point with everything.
So I guess even like high level start backwards. Are we done with fighting?
I think we're pretty, I don't know.
You're in shape because you know what? I've seen you in the last, I think, probably year or two. I've seen you a couple times in the gym, and I mean, I didn't know what it was like 15 years ago when you were in the gym, but man, you go hard, and you give the young guys the works.
I don't know about that. I think that's the reason now. Well, I got like a round in me. I got like 1 round in me. Back in the day, I'd have, you know, 4 easy, but it's.
Do you want to be done? Do you want to get another one in?
I don't know if I do. I feel like if I did, I would. But I do have injuries, and fighting's stressful enough when you're just worried about the guy across from you, and you're able to train hard every day, 2-3 times a day, and that gives you the confidence to kind of like alleviate that stress. But then you add injuries into the factor, and now it's not so much like you're training for the opponent. You're so focused on just getting to the fight healthy, and then your confidence. I always overtrained, and I think probably physically that might not have been the best. Not that I knew any better to not train so hard. It was just like back then. The sports evolved so much, and you got to wrestle, box, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, strength and conditioning. It's like 5 things you got to do. You know, gotta get this in, gotta get this in, gotta get this in. And you're sparring 2-3 times a week. I sparred 3 times a week, which probably wasn't good, but I don't even know where I was going with that.
If you want to fight again.
Then
does your heart
adding the injuries. Yeah, but I think
it's knee, right? Is the
my
problem?
Knee. Then the knee kind of like throws out the back every now and then. Right. My back gets a little weird, and there's like some. I don't know, my neck's probably not too great. I get like a little weirdness in my hand sometimes. Oh, really? So then it's like, you know, and if you're going into a fight thinking about injuries, it's not, like my last couple of fights, I was going in to the fight, like fight week, just trying to make sure I got there, you know. That training camp beats you down, and you get to the fight and you're like, you know, warming up in the back, you're thinking about your knee. It's not a good, you know, it's not a good, well, you know. But I think I don't have to. I've got into I've done, you know, I did what I did there, and I'm content with it. And now I have a whole new, like, a whole new UFC to conquer, like in the real estate world. It's like so similar, but, you know, it's not as physically demanding or like injury. It is, you know, it's just, you could do it for the rest of your life. I could build this empire that I want to build, and just it's like a lifelong sport. There's no lifespan on it. You can do it forever.
Before we get into all the real estate stuff, I have a lot of fighting questions I want to talk about. So you're like really, I mean, I think what's so interesting about the period that you were in the UFC actively was like you're on The Ultimate Fighter. And that was like, that was 2009, I think. Something like that. Something around that time.
Yeah.
And then you were part of it as it grew and grew and grew. And I think, like, I guess the unfortunate part is, and I heard you talk about this on another interview, and I know people have talked about this before, but is the pay aspect. You were there when it was horrible. I mean,
yeah.
Fucking pennies, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time you leave is, I mean, now it's starting to maybe become appropriate.
Yeah.
But like, it's almost one of those things that you saw it grow from nothing to one of the biggest sports in the world. And do you have resentment that you maybe, especially if you don't fight again, will not have been part of like the time where guys are actually starting to make legit money in the UFC?
No, I don't know if it's I've seen, like, I feel like I've seen the sport kind of from the beginning, just because when I got into it, you know, I saw Matt Serra on TV, I saw Ray Longo, Luke Kumo, Pete Drago Sell. Like, I saw these guys on TV when I was in high school, and then I get into fighting, and now they become like my team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get the stories from them about what it was like when there was like that's when it was like not really nothing. They were doing it for like, I don't know. Matt Serra got his first couple of fights. He was just doing it. He would have done it for free, and he basically did. You know, and then you look what he's done and what he's turned into now with the podcast, with his gyms, and he's still just in the mix, just crushing it. Ray too. Ray's trained how many champions, and now he's still cornering the best guys. Yeah. So I've seen like that whole thing, and then I think I definitely got screwed a little bit, but I kind of did a lot of it myself.
But do you think what aspects do you feel like you screwed yourself when you were in the UFC?
I could have played the game a little more.
Which
you know, like be a UFC. So I got this injury, and the injury, I don't know. I think the UFC wasn't as like if it was now, maybe I would have been taken care of better. But I did a lot of my own research. I found the best hospital for special surgery to do this surgery on my knee. And the
When
UFC,
was
this might have been 2012. This was right after the Ultimate Fighter. So I think 2012 was the Ultimate Fighter. And I got hurt on the Ultimate Fighter, and I had this surgery, and that held up for a little bit. Then like 2016 is when I had to have this big surgery, and a lot of the doctors said I wasn't going to fight again if I had this surgery. I saw a doctor in LA who I didn't really. He was kind of like the UFC doctor, and I didn't like his. He said I needed to stretch more. I was like, dude, it's cold in here. I know I'm not flexible to begin with, but that's not going to cure my knee. And then I found I had a chip and cartilage behind my kneecap, articular cartilage. It was a pretty rare injury. Basketball, it happens a lot, I guess. But I found this Dr. Williams Hospital for Special Surgery, and he was like, no, if you, I'm confident. You know, I've done this surgery. He's one of the top 2 guys in the world at doing this surgery, and he was like, if you have this surgery, I think you'll be all right. So his confidence, I was like, I love it, sounds good. And I didn't really have any other option. My knee was shot, so it was like, take the risk, do the surgery. And the UFC said they were only going to pay like a small portion of it, because hospitals for special surgery is such a expensive place to have. It's the most expensive place to have surgery, but it's the best, so you want to be there. So I ended up, like, they said they weren't going to pay for it. I ended up having to go out to Vegas, and they wouldn't let me get to like the highest level. It was like they were the doctor, the UFC's doctor was saying not to have it, and he was telling them not to have this, for me not to have the surgery, because they weren't going to pay for it, because if I have this surgery and I don't fight again, they just paid. It was like 60 or 80 grand for the surgery.
Fuck. And they only wanted to pay how much?
I think it was like 30. It was like a normal, at any other hospital it would have been 30. You know, so I had to come up with an extra like 50,000 or whatever it was, and then be out a year. I was like, I can't do that. Like, that's
because, for context, for people who aren't familiar with the MMA and UFC ways of getting paid, like, you're paid to fight, you're paid to show. You usually you have your show money, which is to show up to the fight, and then you get your win money if you win the fight. So if you don't even show up, you can't get that second one for sure, or that first one.
Yeah.
So for you, it's extra stressful because first, they're not covering the whole surgery, and you got to pay basically 40, 50 grand out of pocket. And you can't fight because you're, recovering. Plus, there's the rehab. I don't know if they cover that. But, like, I mean, what the fuck?
And when I was fighting, I wasn't making that much money anyway.
Right. Also, at that point in time, fighting contract. I mean, what was?
I think at that time I was probably getting. It was right after.
25?
It was right after I fought Masvidal. I think I got. I might have got like 25 and 25 to fight Diego Sanchez. That was my first fight back.
Yeah, it's funny. I just watched that knockout. I mean, so what 25 and 25 means is $25,000 to show, $25,000 if you win. Then you can get bonuses. I don't know if you got a bonus for that one.
No.
But you motherfuckers.
Well, that's the other thing. I kind of went crazy when they didn't pay the surgery. I started like talking shit about the UFC, which they didn't like. I wrecked the hotel room after a win. And then there was something else. They were like, made up this 3-strike rule because I didn't get the bonus. I didn't get the bonus versus Joe Lozone. So I wrecked the hotel room. But like I don't know. I feel like the UFC should have embraced that. Guy just knocks out Joe Lozone, goes crazy, wrecks the hotel room. But me, like that's like, you know.
How'd you wreck it?
I just threw a couple things. TV. I was a little. Yeah, I was out of. I had friends when I was little that
You were drunk.
Yeah, after the fight.
Sorry, go ahead. You had friends that when you were younger.
I had friends that when I was younger, I don't know. My friend, he had a lot of money, and it was like the 4 of us. We went. His dad took us to Atlantic City, and I looked up to his older brother because he was like cool. You know, he was like the coolest guy. Got all the girls, everything, and he would wreck hotel rooms. His dad would go and gamble. And he'd leave us like in our own penthouse, and we were just like freaking middle school kids, and we just terrorized the place. So I thought that was cool. So I don't know. It got embedded in me early to.
And then you're pissed off and you're drunk, so you're like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do the same thing after this."
That's it.
So basically, like you.
And then I pay for it, but I just want So I just won my fight. I feel like I'm rich. I'm like. Throwing things, I'm like, I don't care. And then the bill comes the next day, so I kind of helped the hotel out a little bit, you know. Like I basically bought them new things.
I guess that's one way to look. That's one way to look.
And
at
I
it.
supplied jobs for the people
staff
that were cleaning. You know, I stimulated the economy in that hotel. That's what I mean. Everyone looks so like it's so bad, but I was actually an economic stimulator for everybody.
You what was if you're comfortable sharing, the best paycheck from the UFC? Was it later? It was later on in your career, I imagine.
The Khabib fight for sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but it must be hard though, because also what people need to understand who aren't familiar with the fight game is like 25 and 25, let's say, right? That's 50,000. So you get 50,000 if you win. If you lose that fight, you get only 25,000, which is, I mean, it's a significant difference. Then on top of that, you have taxes to pay. You have your coaches. You have nutrition for some cases. I know that sometimes you pay to get extra teammates out there and little things here and there. So that 25 or that 50,000, I mean,
goes pretty quick.
Usually, how do you budget out what percent of that paycheck at the end is going to come out for all of those other things? It could be like half of your paycheck, no?
Yeah, I mean, it could be half. It could be it all depends. You know, you gotta. That's why you're fighting for your life in there. You're fighting for bonuses. You're fighting that win bonus. The UFC is so smart with the way they structure, and I was able to negotiate later on in my career more like front load it to where I was making 75% up front and then 25% if I win, which was like, which could they hate doing that. And I understand it because I'm kind of like, but for me it took more pressure off. I don't know. They're just so smart. But
is it smart or is it?
Both. It's smart for them. But it's also kind of like, I should be getting some money from this class action lawsuit. They just got a little class action lawsuit.
Wait, tell me about that. And why should you're part of it?
I believe I am. If there's a certain time period where if you fought, in in the UFC during this time period, you'll get, I think they said a large majority of them are going to get 100 grand. Then a little smaller get 200, 300, 400. And I think there are going to be guys that get like 500,
I
600.
hope you get 5. What do you think
I'm probably towards the. I'm probably
Still a couple
towards the
$100 grand
beginning.
is-
Yeah, if I could give extra, I think I definitely deserve that though, especially with this bonus. If anyone deserves it, it's me. They banned me from bonuses because I did the hotel room thing. Then I cursed out the crowd. Then I left. They had a summit, an athlete summit, and all the fighters were there, and I was in a bad. I was like terrorizing the place. It was wild.
What'd
it was
you do?
me, Volante,
Oh.
Weidman, Aljo. I was squirting Mike Perry with a water gun, and I got Volante behind me. I'm like the toughest guy. I got Volante. No one messed with that guy, Not that I need him, but definitely made me feel more comfortable with it.
Wait, so you were banned from getting post-fight bonuses?
Yeah.
Or fight bonuses?
Yeah. There was an article that came out. MMA Junkie, I believe, wrote it. Morgan, what was his name?
Oh, yeah.
He always asked the first question.
Morgan.
John Morgan. He wrote an article with an anonymous
Fighter?
an anonymous UFC employee saying that I was banned for getting bonuses.
Oh, so this wasn't even an official thing. They just like internally were like, we're never giving Iaquinta a bonus.
No, it was. I mean, it
They
was.
told
Well, it was in the article. I kind of found out in the article, but
Oh.
yeah. It was. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how exactly that went down, but something along those lines. It was pretty.
I mean, there
pretty
has
crazy.
to be a time where you were just like, fuck the UFC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now they're partners with Hospital for Special Surgery. I made that deal happen. I've been making deals since day one. Negotiating with the
That's
UFC.
also got to infuriate you. I mean, you spent 40, 50 grand to get your surgery done. So
Well, no, I didn't. So I ended up flying out to Las Vegas. I saw Lorenzo Fertitta.
Yeah.
And I told him, listen, man, this is the deal. I told him the whole thing, and he was like, yep, tell him it's done. And then I ended up getting it, But I had wasted like 6 months. I was trying to like figure out the best doctors to use. I saw probably 5 surgeons all over the country. I had freaking MRIs up the wazoo. I had freaking the stack of MRIs like this from all different places, X-rays, this, that. It was wild. But it all motivated me to just keep. I was like, I'm outworking everybody. I'm doing, you know what I mean? And in the real estate too. That's when I got my real estate license.
Okay.
Uriah Faber was my coach on The Ultimate Fighter, so that always stuck in my head. Real estate, this guy's successful. He's got a whole block of houses when they were giving mortgages out. Now I'm sure he's,
Right.
he's building some like crazy MMA facility in Sacramento now. But like I've seen him, and he was my coach on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Could have had any coach, but I think he was like the best coach that I could have had because after The Ultimate Fighter, like he always was preaching personal development, goal setting. A lot of the coaches were just like, they'd come, they'd coach, they'd leave. He brought his whole team. We were working out with, all the Team Alpha Male guys, and then he invited me out to his house to train, and I saw what he had. I saw his block, his houses, how he was renting out, his rooms to everybody. He bought a bunch of houses when they were giving out mortgages back in the day, 2008,
Right.
2007, to everybody. And he probably wouldn't have been able to, pay the mortgage on all these houses that they were giving him, except he rented rooms out to his teammates. And then I kind of like took the mold and recreated it. I bought my first house. I probably couldn't afford it. I was just able to squeeze in, get a pre-approval. I bought the house, rented it out to all the fighters. And that's kind of like, that's the mold, and now they're all seeing that. They're kind of doing the same thing. So it all started from Uriah Faber and seeing what he had going on. It was crazy.
So before we even dive into all things real estate, the biggest moment, or opportunity is the call to fight Khabib, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for people, again, to give some context, Khabib Nurmagomedov, some believe is the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, usually in debate with John Jones. And you were originally, what year is this? 2018, 2019?
2018, I think.
You were originally scheduled to fight, I believe it's Paul Felder.
Yep.
Was it, at Barclays Center in 2018. Biggest card of the year. Everybody's pumped. Then that's when, for mixed martial arts fans, UFC fans, the whole Dali and Conor McGregor Khabib incident with the bus and everything goes down. Conor gets arrested. I mean, just chaos, right? And then a lot of things happen that week where Tony Ferguson, who was supposed to fight Khabib, pulls out. I forget why. I mean, it was like the 9th time they tried to.
He hit the wire. And
that was the wire
tripped
gate?
on the wire. Yeah, wire gate.
So the wire.
Sunglasses on.
Then Max Holloway's supposed to come in on very short notice, like a gangster, but can't get. The weight, or is it that was when he had the mental, like the.
No, that was the weight thing.
That was the weight thing.
He showed up and he was huge. I remember I was there,
He was huge.
and I saw him and I was like, this guy's huge. There's no way he's making 155. Yeah.
So, and then gangster over here, Iaquinta steps in. How many days notice?
36 hours. Yeah.
36 hours notice, where basically, again, you have to weigh in for the lightweight championship at 155 pounds. And your fight was also at 155 pounds because you're a lightweight. And they're like, we need a guy to fight Khabib. And you guys are obviously top lightweights as well. And you get the call. Where are you when you get the call? You're probably cutting weight.
So no, I weighed in.
You had already weighed in.
I weighed in. I go back to the room. That I'm seeing on like Twitter that they weren't gonna let Holloway fight. It was crazy. It was like, everyone was like, so Mike Chiesa was on the card. He probably would have got the fight, but he got cut with the glass from the bus that Conor, So Conor throws the thing through the bus. Chiesa gets cut. Anthony Pettis, he kind of priced himself out of that. He was like, I'll do it, but if you give me $2 million or something, I was like, I don't care. I'll fight for. I told my manager, I was like, just get me the fight. It doesn't even matter. What do I get paid? Which I probably should have been like, yo, get me money, but get me the fight. But I was like, I'll just take. It was such an opportunity. It was at the Barclays Center, New York, my home state, like crazy. I didn't sleep. Like my adrenaline carried me through that whole thing because I didn't even sleep like the night before. I was so excited.
So from the moment that you said you call your manager, just get me this fight, how long did it take him to make the fight with UFC?
So I went down and I saw at the time Sean Shelby, he hated my guts. Because all the stuff, all that. And I was just looking at him. I saw him sitting across the ballroom, and I was like, Shelby, I'm your man. I was holding like a plastic bag, and I was just like, and it reminds me of like the Statue of Liberty. There's a picture of me. My manager, he was like, "This kid's nuts. Let me take a picture of this." And then I went back to my hotel room. He was like this. I go, Shelby, I'm your guy. He's like this. Oh, last thing he wanted to do was give me the fight. But I think deep down they like me and they respected. Like they know, they're probably looking at the rest of these guys like, oh, we got these guys. Look at this. They'll fight for anything. And I was like the one guy that like stood up, for, which was probably like if I don't know, if Dana was he respected it. He hated it because we were on the other sides of business. But I think he like deep down was a little confused. I was out of my mind, but he respected something about it. And then being in New York, they called me. They gave me the fight, and it was just.
How long did it take to make from that phone call with your manager? A couple hours?
Yeah. It was a couple hours when they told me that. So then the press conference was that night. I signed the contract at the press conference before I went out.
Oh.
And I'm thinking now, thinking back, hindsight, I should have been like, add another 0 on that, then I'll sign it. Because at that point, they had already announced it.
Can I ask you how much you got paid for the Khabib fight?
I think altogether, like close to $500,000, maybe like 450 with the sponsors and with everything.
Which was compared to what was your contract if you had fought Paul Felder?
I think it was like maybe Might have been like, if I would have won, it would have been 100,000. It was like 80 to win, 85 to show, 25 to win. Something that was the first fight I negotiated that
in the new
little
more up front.
Yeah.
But that's also a rare contract, right? To have not a lot of guys have it.
No.
You're just
I learned negotiations with the UFC.
Hey, look, like, yes. Do I think for the biggest pay-per-view of the year, all circumstances taken into consideration, 36 hours notice, like, yeah, an extra zero would have been nice.
Right? What the hell?
But, knowing the state of the UFC at that point in time, and that's the biggest payday in your life till that point, you knew, especially real estate-wise, that's a couple down payments on a couple spots. If you want a difference of a couple down payments, you're like, fuck it, put me in there, coach.
Yeah, that's why I was like kind of. So I had the injury. I was off. I fought Diego Sanchez. I didn't get paid much, and I was like, I kind of need to fight again.
Yeah.
I was gonna get paid 100 and whatever it was, 85 to fight Felder. I was like freaking life-changing money. And then the rest, I go, shit, they're gonna pay me. It was like 350. Then the sponsorship stuff after it. I was like, fuck, we're rich. Yeah. Meanwhile, but I was definitely have some injuries from that
From the Khabib fight?
I'm sure,
Do you, and are you the only person that's gone to decision with Khabib?
For the 5 rounds.
For 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how do you, is it positive memories when you think back to that? Or do you wish, you're a competitor too, so I know like it's a loss, so you're probably.
Yeah, I'm like, I could have done a couple things differently, been a little more confident in my wrestling early, He had like that aura about him. He gets in on your leg. I was like freaking out, and rather than do the right thing that I knew that I, had trained, my whole life for. But he is, one of the best, if not the best, to do it. So I kind of got the hang of it as the fight was going on, but the 5-round thing, I was kind of like, I hadn't trained for 5. So I was, in uncharted territory. I didn't want to burn my gas tank out too early. And then, so I was kind of like saving it, but
That's the hard part too for casual listeners is most fights all fights except for sometimes co-main events and main events and all championship fights are 5 rounds. Most fights are 3. So it's hard on 36 hours notice to go from a 3-round fight to a 5-round fight against the number 1 guy in the world. Yeah. Other than the aura of Khabib, what do you think he does spectacularly well that you had never seen? Like, do you think the wrestling is on the level that everybody likes to say it is?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What is it about it that he understands better, or does better?
He's great at getting you. He knows where he's good, and he's great at getting you there. He's great against the cage. I think he's really good against the cage. He locks up your legs and the Dagestani handcuffs. You know what I mean? It's feared. He was just mauling people. So I didn't want to be against the cage. I wanted to stay in the middle. Right. And then the first shot he takes, he's kind of like an outside shot for a single leg, and just grabbed it, held, got me down with it. But yeah, my goal was to not be against the cage. And then he took me down in the middle, which is a little, but survived the round. And then was aware of that takedown, and he didn't land that on me again. I don't think the rest of them were up against the cage, but at that point, I'm worried about the takedown. He's throwing Jay's. He's got a pretty good jab, especially when you're thinking about a takedown. I'm like cautious. You don't want to overextend because he's going to take you down. Then he's popping in your face, but you're still thinking about the takedown. It's like his grappling makes his striking that much better.
I was rewatching that fight earlier, and you had a couple moments though, and I think it was like round 3. Yeah, you hit him cleanly. You know?
Hit him with some good stuff.
And it's like, do you ever wonder, or I don't know if you think about things like that, but do you ever wonder like, what if I just landed one clean one?
Yeah. It was right there a few times, But I went in there I was like, I'm go in there. It was like very
freeing. No?
Just I had nothing to lose. Go in there and just everything. I relied on my lifetime of work to. I didn't have time to prepare for him. I didn't even really watch any tape on him. I had seen all of his fights before that, so I knew what he did. But I didn't want to. I just was like, let me go in there and do my thing, stay off the cage, give it my best go. And even though I didn't win, it definitely set me up for some bigger fights in the future and really put me on the map. Everyone respected. Everyone thought I was going to get killed, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A lot of people are talking and have been for the last couple of years about, all the effects of brain trauma and all the punches and things of that nature. Does that ever worry you now that you're potentially not going to fight again? Being a professional fighter, you take damage. Every single fighter does. Does it worry you?
I don't know if it worries me. It's definitely a big factor in why I don't think it's a good idea for me to fight again. I think when you're young, you heal quick. Probably same thing with your brain. If you get hit a lot when you're younger, and I think it's when you get to those later years in your career, and then you get knocked out. I never been hit as much as I was hit in my last 3 fights. So, to go back and if it's not working, why are you going to go back and do it again? You know what I mean? The injuries added up, and then the sport's evolving. I couldn't stay on like the cutting edge of everything.
Right.
I was just trying to get back to healthy.
What's it feel like? I've always wondered this. For a fighter after they've taken damage in a fight, what's it feel like when you go to bed? And when you wake up, is your head ringing?
I think everyone's different, but luckily for me, I never got knocked out
cold.
Yeah, I got flashed, knocked down, like on the way down. I pretty much knew where I was the whole time, and you survived most of the time. Except for Bobby Green, and the Bobby Green one. It's not that I was like super hurt. I was just kind of like, all right, I've had enough. I've been hit enough. You know what I mean? And that's when
Does
I kind of
hurt.
No, you don't really feel anything. You just kind of wake up. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Pretty crazy
to wake up in front of fucking
30,000 people.
The whole place is going nuts. You're just like, you just end up there. You're like, you wake up and this guy's just freaking trying to kill you, and the crowd's going nuts. It's like, oh shit, I'm here right now, but at least the fight's still going on. I gotta move, gotta do whatever.
Yeah.
So it's such a unique feeling, and the only people that get that feeling are the people that like get, and that's such a unique feeling, and to be able to survive that, it's pretty wild.
But you've been on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's such a, people always say it's a game of inches. It literally is a game of inches, right? And do you feel like with some of these other organizations that have become more popular over the last couple of years, like a PFL, for example, do you think that in those places where they're paying their fighters well, but I think a lot of the UFC vets that go over there that have name brand like you, is the only driver if you would fight again money? And would you consider a PFL if they paid you the right amount?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't really see myself fighting again. I'm so busy with everything that I have going on in real estate, that I have enough time to work out, and then sometimes I don't. If I don't work out in the morning, I'm probably not going to work out, because by the end of the day, I get done with my day, I'm shot. I'm like, but I just do it for fun now. Stay in, go to the gym, keep in the mix. Hang out with Ray, hang out with the guys at the gym. That's like the best, just like great people in fighting,
So how do we get you, when are you going to be the king of Long Island real estate? You're already the king. Let's say, when do you have the empire of Long Island as yours?
Yeah. We're working every day. Just, I don't know if it's really be the king of Long Island. I just want to, it's gonna happen. It's gonna, I've been working harder at this than not harder, but it's the same with that same fire that I did in fighting. Like I want to be there yesterday. But sometimes I got to tell myself, just chill out, let it take its time and do, But I love Long Island. I like people on Long Island. I like, I grew up there. Brooklyn, I'm here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. You know what I mean? I went to freaking 6th Street. It's North 6th Street. So I like, I grew up at the beach. My dad was a lifeguard, teacher, coach. Both my parents were educators. So they were always preaching Long Island, how great, how happy they were to live on Long Island. And my dad grew up in Brooklyn. So when he was young, they moved out to Valley Stream, and then from Valley Stream, I moved to Wanta in middle school. But I love it. I love the area. I love helping people. It's like, helping friends buy and sell houses. It's such a sick thing to do.
When you said I want to be there yesterday, what is there when it comes to the real estate, your real estate career?
So I opened a brokerage a year ago, and real estate, like I saw with another brokerage that I was with, people are kind of like out for themselves. Like I come from the Serra-Longo fight team. They're like the best team. Long Island born, bred people. Ray Longo wasn't recruiting people. Matt Serra wasn't recruiting people. In fact, they would turn people. Like, it's very hard to get into that crew. But he sees the people that work hard, that he thinks he can make it happen for. He puts the time in and he works with them, and everybody kind of fits the same mold. Everybody's goal oriented and looking out for each other. You train hard. There's competition within the team in the gym, but it's for the greater good, and it's all respectful. And people that are like bullies don't really last at the Serra-Longo fight team. And I that's what I want to recreate. And so in ways, in real estate agents, they have the worst reputation, and it's for a reason. There are some people out there that they'll rob their own freaking family members to get a deal done and take, it's there's parts of the business that I didn't like, and I'm like, I want to do this myself, and I want to build a team of people that work together, kind of compete against each other. You want to be the best agent in the office, but it's like I'm taking a little bit from them. I'm suggesting this to this person. Oh, I did this. This worked. We have an agent meeting once a week, and we get everybody in the office, and everybody's talking about what they're doing. We kind of strategize for each agent, and I think they get a lot out of it when they come and when they really participate and they see the value. And I think the rest of the community is kind of seeing that we carry ourselves a lot differently. We work harder than everybody. We all kind of cut from the same cloth. Long Island people and it's funny. Agents interview for they'll maybe interview 3 different brokerages, and the ones that I really see fit the mold and I want, they end up joining. The ones that come, they interview, I could tell, I don't think it's a good fit. They don't come. So it's and that's very similar to what I saw with Ray and Matt Serra. The people that came and they bought into the system, they did, they worked hard, they did everything that you would need to do to succeed. They knew that's where they wanted to be.
Right.
So I've gotten a great mold from fighting on what a great team can be, and then I don't see why it can't be really just change real estate, change how agents act, how really be educated. You gotta have a lot of agents. They're just getting started. They're kind of don't have you got to have a good mentor, and to your mentor has to help do these deals so you get them done the right way, and do things the right. Really, just do things the right way.
How do people? Because everybody wants to get in. I mean, let's say a lot of people want to get into real estate, but I mean, it means nothing, right? Like, what does people that are not going to be real estate agents, but want to invest in real estate? What are the easiest ways for people to start to get involved if they have? Because I think there's just a lot of non-education about, how to really put a down payment down or what a good down payment should be.
Yeah.
Especially post 2008. Like, what do you, for those very, very, very rudimentary beginners, how does one get into investing into real estate, and what should they be looking for, and why is it a good type of investment?
So, I mean, there's so much out there. You can educate yourself on YouTube, like just watching videos. They call it house hacking now, which is what Uriah Faber was doing. He bought his first house, and then he rented the rooms out to all the fighters, and the mortgage is paid for, and you're kind of living for free. And then you keep saving money, so now you're living for free. Your mortgage is getting paid. You make more money, and now it's all, you're living for free, so that expense is down. It's not like you're working to pay the mortgage. You're working to save more money to buy another house. You move into that one, you keep this one rented, and you recreate that a couple times, and you're living good. Your real estate is being paid for by itself, and then any of the money you make, you buy more real estate, and then cash flow positive. You're making money. Obviously, you got to set it up to where property management, everything kind of flows easy. It can be to rent out a property after your house hack and you're not on site. Things happen, toilets break, or there's whatever it is. You got to have somebody go over there and fix it. In the beginning, you might do it yourself, but I think that's a great way to get started. For someone young that has once you get a little older, you can be living with like 10 people. It's not the best scenario, but when you're young, you struggle. And like I was living with 5 potential UFC fighters. There's always some guy doesn't do the dishes for a week, and you're like someone's got a girlfriend that just whatever they're fighting or whatever it is. There's always like moving parts, but when you're young, that's the best way to do it. Live with a bunch of people, but as long as it's your house and they're helping pay down the mortgage, that's that's the best.
Is your goal to just keep buying houses for yourself and renting them? Like, is that how you personally grow your real estate empire?
Yeah. I think that along with building the brokerage. And
how for you personally, what is the benefit of building a brokerage? And like, explain why if someone is ever able to be in the position to build their own brokerage, it's more beneficial than working at another brokerage.
Well, it's when you're an individual agent working at a brokerage, your income is what you sell is what you make. You make a commission on the sale.
There's no base,
and that's what you get. There's no. That's it. It's feast or famine with the real. Which is kind of like fighting too. It's like you've got to trust in yourself that you're gonna get it done, and it takes a lot for people to make that step. If it's a delicate balance, because a lot of people, they have full-time jobs, part-time jobs, whatever it is, but to really put your all into real estate, you kind of got to let go of, and it's going to be it's uncomfortable to go into the unknown, uncharted territory where you might have done like 1 or 2 or 3 deals in a year, and now you got to make, you got to close 12, 15 deals to live the way you're living with that other job. It's a big step, and and that's really, as a broker, you're taking somebody that maybe just got their license, teaching them the ropes, showing them how to get deals, how to close deals. It's 50% marketing, and it's 50% knowing what you're doing and getting the deal done, doing it the right way, making sure that everything is running smooth. To make, at the end of the day, you want that client to be like a raving fan of you, and that's the greatest marketing you could have. Is you go above and beyond for somebody and do things that other people don't do. You close, they buy their dream house, and they can't they can't stop talking about you. They're like, no one even asks. They're
Right.
just like, oh, my realtor was the best. Yeah, and they're just telling everybody. That's like the best marketing, you know. So as a broker, you're really developing the team. You're more like Ray Longo and Matt Serra in the, you're making sure everybody's doing good.
So then how the brokerage gets like on the sale of a house, they get a is it 50-50 with the brokerage and the realtor?
It is, a lot of brokerages do, like 50-50 when you start, because you'll have, the broker will help out a lot, or 70-30, you keep 70, the brokerage gets 30, 80-20. So it's a percentage. Now there's flat fee models where, and this is what we are, we're a flat fee brokerage. And I'm pretty sure HomeSmart was one of the first ones to do it, which is where I was before I opened my company. And I liked it because the agents work so hard. They deserve, to make a lot of money when they close the deal. You know what I mean? But if the brokerage helps and gives them the deal, like if I give somebody a lead and they close the deal, then it's more 50-50. Then it's like I gave you a layup. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have had business, gave you this business, you helped me out, you sold the house, I helped you out, I gave you the lead. But if it's their own deal, if they're bringing in the buyer, if they're doing all the work, then it's a flat fee, and we just do it's $1,000. That's it. So it's $120 a month for like the membership, to the brokerage, and then it's $9.99 when you close a transaction. That's it. We just get paid $1,000, and that's it. And that's the thing for me. I've seen what brokerages offer, and I think we offer way more and we take way less. And it's because we're starting out, you know what I mean? But we're I think people are starting to realize that we're different. The agents that are with our office, they carry themselves different. They're more educated. They're more in, they're in the game.
Because I think also now we see a lot on social media, like a lot of, people talking about flipping homes and different things like that. And you and I were talking before a little bit about some people that are flipping homes. Like it feels like something that's accessible to everyone, but also not accessible to everyone. And I think like explain the differences. Like how to flip a home? How capital intensive is it to start? Like, do you need to have money to start, or
not necessarily?
Why? If
you have time and you can educate yourself and you can find good deals, there's somebody that's willing to partner with you. And if I came to somebody with some money and I said, listen, I got this deal. We're going to buy it for this price. It's going to cost this to renovate it. And then we're going to sell it for this price. I know we're going to sell it for this price because look at the rest of the houses in the area. We're getting a great deal on this. We're going to put some money into it and we're going to make X. Somebody with money is going to say, sure, they'll partner with me. We split it 50-50, right, maybe, whatever the deal, we negotiate whatever that is. And then, I brought something to the table. They brought something to the table. It's a great partnership. Right. So that for people that don't have money, like capital to start, I think that's the way you got to do it. But, then you start making money, then you start funding these deals yourself. Yeah. And that's kind of how that goes. Flipping, I never really, it's so competitive. Like you got to find your niche, you got to, Charles Weinrob, who I was talking to about earlier. He flips the houses to make the capital to buy rental properties. That's passive income. So he's not relying on that money to live. He's relying on that money to invest in long-term rental properties. And, he built up a portfolio that way. For me, it's selling the real estate, and that brings me in the capital that I want to then invest into properties or the brokerage, which is what I've been doing now. All the money I'm still selling houses, and all the money that I'm making, I'm putting into this brokerage to just really put ourselves on the forefront of everything moving forward in real estate. Like it's so competitive, but whatever it is, house flipping, like some people I want to get into flipping, and it's like you gotta find a deal where there's guys that are on Long Island that are spending $100,000 in marketing to find that deal before you. Like you gotta compete with that person. You know, they're buying 2-3 houses a week, and you've got to compete with that person. You got to find the house, and you know it's definitely harder when you're starting out and you don't have that marketing budget to find. You know, but you got to work for that one, and you got to turn that one. It's all strategic, but yeah, for me, it's I enjoy the selling of real estate, helping people buy, sell commercial, residential, as opposed to flipping. That was the niche I chose, and it's just as competitive. There's just as many agents. You know, there's it's like fighting. How many MMA fighters are there? How many agents are there? So you've got to find a way to stand out. You gotta be better, and then you got to get your break. You got to figure out, market yourself. Why would people choose me over the person next door?
How much has being, the UFC fighter Iaquinta helped you with the real estate world?
Definitely helped. It's definitely helped. It's I've gotten deals, where people just saw me on TV talking, say, I'm selling houses. If you're looking for a house, hit me up, and they do. So I met cool people. If you're gonna call me because you saw me fighting or you respect the UFC thing, like that's somebody that I want to work with, and like it always works out good. Like I still talk to people from this to this day that I connected with like 5-6 years ago because they saw me fighting and saw the real estate thing. They said, "Oh, this guy, he's a UFC fighter. He probably worked pretty hard to get there. Knows what he's doing. Yeah. I'll put my trust in him."
What do you want people to know about Al, the person that maybe is not enough out there? Or
I like the earth.
You know what's funny about you though is I think, and this is what I've also noticed about a lot of fighters, but you specifically as well, is like you go in there and you could want to take someone's head off, but you have a massive heart and you're a teddy bear low key.
I mean, that might be it. I think I don't know about a teddy bear, but I definitely, I think, I always I feel like I do pretty much now. I was crazy back, but I've definitely grown up a lot. But I think I pretty much do the right thing, and treat people well. But like if they're like a bully, I think I'll go crazy the other way. Like if you're doing the wrong thing and it's affecting somebody around me, or if it's affecting me, like you're gonna know that I can't stand that, and it's like I really respect Matt Serra for that. Like he's like the nicest guy, the happiest guy. But you see someone does something, he freaking throws them on the ground, and there has to be a little bit more of that, I think, in this world. Like people got to do the right thing, and then you see somebody not doing the right thing, you freaking check them real quick, give them a little check, and yeah.
Do you want to be? You want to have a family one day?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What kind of dad do you think you're gonna be?
Well, it's I think I had a great role model. My father, he was awesome. He's a coach. He's an educator. So I think I learned so much from him on like he's a great father. Still, like he's the best, and I have a great role model. So I think, that's the kind of definitely hard ass in some ways. But definitely for the good of the child,
Would you let your kid become a UFC fighter?
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, if they show, I'd expose them to everything. Definitely wrestling. I think wrestling is like such a good sport for life. Like you learn so much. You can't blame the goalie. You can't blame the defense. You're out there by yourself,
right.
And what the work you put in is the result you get. So I think wrestling is a really good like base for life. And then if after that, boxing too. Boxing's good. The brain shots maybe not so great, but what are you gonna do? You could be. There's worse things to do than fighting in MMA. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're healthy, you're like the UFC fighters are like they're superhuman in mentality, physicality. So I think it's it's a little crazy, some of them, but I think it's something that if a kid gets into and really wants to dedicate themselves to it and not just you really got to be all in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a sport where you can mess around.
Where do you hope life is for you in 5 years? Manifest like we have 20 properties. What do we want?
I think more so the brokerage. I'm focused
Where's
on the brokerage
in 5 years?
Multiple locations,
And
definitely
all
across
Long Island?
The East Coast. But I think on the East Coast and maybe some other areas. I would like to open brokerages where I like to be. Hawaii would be a great destination for a brokerage. But then Long Island, that's the goal right now. Is figuring it out. Like I'm in the beginning stages. I'm figuring it all out on the job. It's making decisions, seeing what the results are. You measure everything that's going on and keep moving forward. So it's 5 years. 5 years. Brokerages across the country, on the East Coast. Definitely Long Island. It's there's a couple companies in particular that I'm really focused on, and I respect what they're doing, and I'm I want it to be like that, but I want us to hold ourselves to a different standard. And when people see the Iaquinta name and the logo next to an agent's name, they're like, thank God. Thank God I'm working with that agent because I know they're going to do the right thing. This is going to be a smooth deal. I'm not going to get any nonsense. There's not going to be a runaround. It's going to be straight shooting, good business, and that's how everybody wins.
If someone wants to work with Iaquinta Real Estate, where do they go?
Info at you can go to iaquintarealestate.com.
Okay.
iaquintarealestate.com. That's the company website. If you're looking to buy, sell, rent, residential,
This is the guy.
commercial, I'm the guy.
Everything.
Anything. And then Twitter, Instagram at Iaquinta. You can reach out there, and then it's not too hard to find my number.
Not too.
I'm out there. My number's out there.
Uh-oh.
I get prank calls all the time.
Really?
It's so
Oh, my
sick.
God.
I love it. My favorite thing is when I see a blocked number. It's like they think they're pranking me. You just called I'm pranking you. You welcome to my prank. You just called me, but it keeps it interesting. My number was so Aljamain Sterling is an agent with my office.
Okay.
And
The champ.
the champ, sick.
Yes.
And he's investing in properties now. He's making money in the UFC, and he just bought another house in Baldwin, doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
renting out different apartments within different units within the house, and he's done the same. The Uriah Faber, the Uriah,
All the long guys,
the Uriah
right?
house hack. It's so good. But yeah, he somehow my number got associated with his name, and somebody screenshotted it and put it on Twitter, and I was getting calls from, for some reason, the Russian people. I'd get calls from Russia, and it'd be like the guy's calling me. He goes, doesn't even know how to speak English. He's saying, he goes, "Hello, you fighter." I'm like, "Yeah, bro, good, all right." I got 20 calls like that in one day. I showed Aljo the amount of calls that I got. Then they would call me on WhatsApp, and it would just be freaking all day. It was like a whole day. the Russian people, if I was doing business in Russia, I would have killed it that day.
Be a multi-millionaire in Russia.
Right?
I want to thank you for coming on. I hope that, it's what's so cool, I think, at least and seeing how you operate is like you've always just put your head down and worked, you know, and I hope that, you know, if you never fight again, that you're proud of the career you had, because you should be. And, you know, I'm excited for you to now also deep dive, take over the real estate world and put that same work ethic to the real estate, because, you know, it's like people can say whatever they want about whoever. Everybody has an opinion about everybody, but like when it comes down to it, you're one of those people that fucking works, you know. And I hope you're proud of yourself for the career you've already had and the career that you're continuing now.
Appreciate that, man. And same to you. This is incredible. This is the real deal. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
You've evolved as a personality on the podcast, and bringing on cool guests, interesting guests from different walks of life.
Yeah.
So I listen, and I'm always fascinated by the people that you have on, and you know, I get introduced to people that I would have never heard their story or heard what's going on. So yeah, this is incredible, and yeah, thanks for having me, and everybody out there. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Appreciate you, bro.